Hey, welcome back to another Cybersecurity Awareness Month video. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the purpose of a SOC. Now, a lot of people use terms like SOC and NOC and help desk and things like that almost interchangeably. So it's important to kind of start this off with different organizations are going to have different vernacular and different definitions for this kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk about more generally what the purpose of a SOC typically is. Um, it doesn't mean this is what it's always going to be or how everybody uses it, but it's our perspective on it, I guess. Now, from a security standpoint, we're all pretty familiar with the CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, when you think of a traditional knock or help desk, most of the time they're focused on availability, which means that the job of something like a knock is to make sure that the network is online and assets and resources are available for people to connect to and utilize. A help desk is kind of the same way, usually more system focused, usually more server workstation focused. Their job is to make sure the tools that people use are available and working properly. Now, a SOC is typically a little bit different. Most SOCs aren't really worried that if a file server is online, unless it's off due to a security incident, but they're not really looking for online, offline. They're not looking for performance. They're looking for indicators of compromise and breaches of this integrity and confidentiality. So a knock really focuses on, this top or this right side of the equation, this section kind of over here, right? And a SOC is really focused on these kinds of sections of it, the integrity and confidentiality. Now, if you were to break it down to kind of some bullet points, there's a few key areas that the SOC usually tends to focus on. First and foremost, when they get an alarm, they need to make sure that alarm is true. Um, Knocks and help desks, when they get an alert that says something is broken or offline, it's a little more definitive and binary, right? Like if you can connect to something, the connection's up. If it's down, it's down. There can be performance issues kind of in the middle, and sometimes there's services unavailable and whatnot. But on a SOC, a detection can get thrown for any number of combinations of pieces of data, and sometimes those aren't really accurate. So the SOC needs to first determine if what it's seeing is actually a threat. So they're looking for that true false positive. Did we get the data that we wanted? I mean, did what we see equate to a bad guy doing something, or was it just something that looked like the activity of a bad guy, right? They're also there to look for root cause of that type of stuff. I mean, we're doing tuning. We want to make sure that if we're getting detections, that we're getting more true positives and false positives, obviously. And we want to make sure the alerting is relatively correct for the environment that we're measuring. Um, we also are heavily focused on risk as a concept. Again, knock help desk is more binary. It's up and available and working, good, down, not good. Bad things can happen in an environment, and the role of the SOC is really to assess that risk and determine, based on what we're seeing, how much of a reaction do we need to have to this? Is this something we should be getting everybody on the phone for? Is this something we should wake people up at 2 a.m. for? Or is this something that can wait till tomorrow? Or maybe it's not that big of a deal. We have to just remind the user to not click on these links, or any kind of balance of that. So the role of a SOC is really understanding what the threat could be, and then making recommendations for remediation to the IT team that is responsible for the environment. So that's kind of the other major area. Most SOCs act as an eyes and ears sort of organization. They're there to watch, understand, determine true, false, positive, determine risk. Often a SOC isn't actually responsible for remediation. Some might do isolation of a device and use an MDR or an XDR or something like that to isolate a machine. They might change some rules on a firewall to end an attack, but often it's the administration team of that environment that's taking the remediation actions. So the SOC typically is more focused on what's happening, understanding its impact to the environment, and providing information. There's an administration team in a NOC, in an IT team, and a sysadmin team, and a system engineers team that is then using the information from the SOC to take action in the environment. So yeah, that's kind of the difference. SOC is focused on integrity and confidentiality predominantly. NOC help desk is usually focused more on availability. We need all of them. They all have different roles for a different reason. So there's no better or worse. It's just a difference. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.